As hundreds of people applaud in unison, 75-year-old André Rieu dances across the stage with the vigor of a man half his age, his violin playing beneath his chin. The King of Walls does more than just play music. He is building a financial empire that has shocked specialists in the entertainment industry and will eventually give his family with an enormous fortune. It routinely outsells well-known modern performers like Bruce Springsteen, Coldplay, and Justin Bieber, while other classical musicians struggle in a pop culture-dominated era. He is now the highest-grossing classical musician of all time on Billboard, with an incredible $550 million in total profits from his live appearances. With more than $300 million earned from more than 700 performances, Rieu has demonstrated that classical music can be both economically successful and culturally significant. Music was always in his blood. He was born to a conductor father in Maastricht, Netherlands. Few, however, could have foreseen the empire he would establish. With little fanfare, he launched his first professional endeavor in 1978, the Maastricht Salon Orchestra. However, he established the Johann Strauss Orchestra in 1987 with just 12 musicians, who practiced for 6 months before their debut on January 1, 1988, laying the real groundwork for his empire. One of the earliest members of the orchestra remembers how difficult those early days were. None of us thought we would become the biggest private orchestra in the world, but we all shared André's goal. That expansion has been remarkable. From the original dozen players, the orchestra grew to 43 by 2008 and now has 75 full-time members, all of whom Rieu personally chose. An equally remarkable support personnel is necessary for this enormous ensemble. To pay everyone without going on tour, I only need $1 million a month. Rieu gave a straightforward explanation of how his firm is run. As you can imagine, it's even more when we go on tour. In addition to the 110 employees I have on staff, I also have 100 freelancers. The family is very large. Every success story typically has a turning point at which everything changes. That time for André Rieu was during an international football game in Amsterdam in 1995. Rieu made the audacious marketing decision to buy 60 seconds of live television time during halftime, something that would make today's influencers jealous. He played Shostakovich's Waltz No. 2, which would become his hallmark tune, in front of millions of people. He sold 200,000 CDs the next week. Just before halftime, Ajax scored, which was a tremendous favor to me. Rieu smiled as he recalled. I went from being an unknown violinist to someone people recognized on the street after that one-minute performance. He was immediately referred to by the media as the modern king of waltz, a moniker that would characterize his reputation for many years to come. They went on to make more successful television appearances and tour Europe. André Rieu was well known throughout Europe by the year 2000, and his fame was growing quickly in North America, Australia, and Asia as well. Rieu's commercial success is especially noteworthy because of the way he accomplished it. By disregarding almost all of the unspoken guidelines for performing classical music. You know how most people are intimidated and avoided by the serious atmosphere of a classical music concert hall? It just isn't there with us, Rieu says with pride. His concerts promote audience engagement rather than strict formality and stillness. To the beat, people sway, hum along to well-known tunes, and applaud when they are moved, actions that are typically discouraged in classical settings. His performances have occasionally been written down as schmaltzy or unintelligent by classical establishment critics. Rieu accepts these critiques with his usual sense of humor. He continues, using the German word for a whole artwork. I'm trying to create a Gesamtkunstwerk where music, dance, and costumes all add up to a magical evening that engages all the senses. I'm proud to be schmaltzy if that's what it is. Millions of admirers throughout the world have found resonance in this idea. Rieu's business is financially independent, in contrast to traditional orchestras that rely on institutional backing, government subsidies, or affluent individuals. The tickets are the largest component, but he points out that the DVDs are crucial to his sources of income. Over his career, the maestro has created 50 albums and sold over 40 million, both of which have added to his increasing wealth. While many celebrities buy penthouse flats or opulent houses, André Rieu bought something far more unusual, a 16th-century castle in the center of Maastricht, his hometown. At first, Rieu's investment plans did not include the castle, which is known as Huis de Torrentiers, House of the Small Turrets. Our accountant contacted to let us know that the front side was up for sale while we were on vacation in the south of France, remembers his wife Marjorie. Although we weren't specifically searching for it, The opportunity doesn't present itself too often. It's interesting to note that Rieu had a relationship to the property from childhood. Though the recollections aren't totally positive, he learned to play the piano there when he was a little boy. He acknowledges that the castle was gloomy, wet, and unpleasant in those days, and that I detested my teacher. His passion for Tintin comics sparked his interest in castles. He and Professor Calculus sold an invention and purchased a castle in one of the Tintin books I read as a child. I recall wishing I could live there. When he paid €1,458,459, or almost $1.9 million at the time, buying the castle on September 11, 1999, that boyhood fantasy came true. When Rieu purchased the historic building, it was split up into many parts. Rieu played for many years on a Stradivarius violin from 1667, which was made while Antonio Stradivari was just starting his illustrious career. The 1667 Stradivarius, which the guy produced when he was engaged to his future wife, was an instrument I used to play. Rieu explains, his voice full of emotion. He somehow infused that instrument with the same affection he had for her. That is audible. Even for someone Rieu's size, needing such a unique instrument wasn't easy. You ought to start playing the violin. The world is little. In the entire world, just 3 or 4 persons made that determination. He describes the limited network of collectors and sellers. Opportunities appeared out of nowhere as word got out that he was looking for a Stradivarius. Like flies to honey, they arrived. It was unthinkable. I took no action. Come play, they said, bringing violins from the opposite side of the globe. His collection expanded along with his popularity. Media stories occasionally cite conflicting dates since Rieu upgraded to an extremely rarer 1732 Stradivarius violin in recent years. Both instruments were possessed by him at various times. These violins are incredibly valuable. The most precious Stradivarius can fetch several million euros, and the average one can easily fetch even more. The Lady Blunt Stradivarius, the most costly violin in the world, sold for more than 15 million euros, which may give some idea of the current value of Rieu's instruments. Rieu talks about his violin with the affection of a committed partner. A violin resembles a lady in many ways. She is special. There are a lot of ladies, but you only love one. The same applies to a violin. This sentimental connection shows that these assets are more than just money in his portfolio. Rieu has established a full infrastructure to support his musical empire, in contrast to many artists who only concentrate on their craft and delegate economic problems to others. He has his own production firm, events company, and recording studio. He has total creative control over every element of his performances to his custom stage and costume workshops, which is even more astounding. Rock stars would be jealous of the care his musicians receive. The symphony employs specially designed Mercedes-Benz buses, has access to a fitness instructor, and travels with a professional chef. The orchestra also offers a private kindergarten for parents, enabling performers with little children to go on international tours. With 60,000 fans worldwide, Rieu's yearly Christmas concerts have become legendary. These enormous plays take audiences to a musically delightful winter wonderland with their intricate sets, costumes, and special effects. Rieu's 2008 investment in a costly stage-set copy of Vienna's Schönbrunn Palace almost brought down the company. When technical issues and transportation expenses got out of hand, the 1-to-1 scale reproduction, which had cost millions of dollars, almost put the business out of business. According to one of Rieu's longtime business partners, it was touch and go for a while. But we were able to withstand the storm because to André's tenacity and business sense. After he made difficult choices and reorganized some debt, we returned stronger than before in just 2 years. Even though André Rieu is the center of attention, his family has been instrumental in creating and sustaining his enterprise. Throughout his career, his wife Marjorie, whom he married in 1975, has served as both a vital business advisor and an emotional support system. Marc and Pierre, their 2 boys, have also grown to be essential members of the family business. Pierre is a painter and producer who has carried on his father's artistic legacy, while Marc Rieu studied administration and now manages many of the daily commercial activities. In interviews, Rieu frequently says, "None of this would have been possible without my family." In those early years, when others thought I was crazy for thinking that people would pay to see waltzes performed, they had faith in me. What has grown into a worldwide business is given a personal touch by the family dynamic. Because André knows each employee by name and shows a personal interest in their welfare, staff members frequently remark that the large organization yet feels like a family business. Naturally, Concerns regarding inheritance and succession surface as André Rieu gets closer to his latter years. Financial analysts place his personal fortune in the hundreds of millions of euros, taking into account his real estate holdings, instrument collection, business infrastructure, and intellectual property rights to his recordings, while the precise worth of his estate is still unknown. However, the cultural legacy that Rieu will leave behind is more important than the monetary value. He is solely responsible for reviving interest in waltz music and introducing classical pieces to audiences that might not have otherwise visited a concert venue. Rieu maintains that the money isn't my greatest accomplishment. It's witnessing the happiness on people's faces as they find solace in this lovely music. I want my children and grandchildren to remember that, not the magnitude of their legacy, but the collective impact we had on millions of lives. Rieu showed how much he cherishes his musical family over personal prosperity during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2021, when his orchestra experienced financial difficulties as a result of postponed performances. Thankfully, performances resumed before the need for such harsh steps arose. However, the statement offered a deep insight into the fortune's creator. According to André Rieu, the real riches have always been found in the music and the individuals who contribute to its creation. The André Rieu musical empire is still growing as fans from all over the world continue to attend his performances, buy his albums, and watch his TV programs. The wealth that will eventually be passed down to his family is increasing, guaranteeing that the Rieu brand will continue to be associated with great music and prosperous business ventures for many years to come. Rieu once thought in a quiet moment, "When I'm gone, I'm hoping that he brought joy back to classical music. That would be more valuable than all the violins and castles in the entire world. And his family will have all the means to guarantee that the music and the joys remain long after the maestro's last note is played thanks to the financial foundation he has built."